Welcome, everybody, to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio, bringing you all the greatest in Bigfoot encounters and guests from around the world, and a lot of them from North America, of course. And the episode that we're doing here, I've got a guest who's never been on the show before, and as a matter of fact, prior to our little short conversation right before we started recording this, I'd never even had a chance to talk to her before, although we've been Facebook friends for a while. And if you guys want to keep track of who the really good Bigfoot researchers are in various areas, you know, there's like usually one really good one in each state or each region. And down the Southwest, there's a bunch of good people. I'd have to hand the crown off to the queen of the Bigfoot research world, Brenda Harris, as the number one most visible and most active down there in that area. And she also is friends and knows Randy Caveman Yazzie, who you will, of course, know has been on the show several times already. And sometimes they share information on what's going on down there. And she's got an event coming up here shortly, and I just thought it would be a really great chance to get her on the show, give us a little update on what's been going on around her area, and talk a little bit about the really the conference that I really, really wish I could go to that's coming up here shortly. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on our guest here, Miss Brenda Harris. Welcome aboard, Brenda.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're so very welcome. It's great to have you on the show. And like I was telling everybody, I give you the top honors for the most active and most visible down in that southwest corner of the country down there. I can't think anybody else that's doing much more than you are, other than a few guys who run around and photograph stick structures, and it's pretty much all they're doing. And that's pretty much all they're doing. So we're not going to mention any names. But you want to give us a little update on yourself, anything that I didn't mention, and then kind of let the listeners know what is the recent Bigfoot stuff that's been going on down there. I know you have activity right where you live, so you don't have to go very far, but there's other things that come up around that area that people call you about that you go investigate. So what's the latest down there then?
Sure, I'll share a lot of that with what's been going on here. But what I'd like to start off with is thank you very much for having me on the show. And as far as being the queen, I'm not sure about that. I just do what I do, for the people and, checking things out. I guess I'm just not used to being labeled as that. I'm just little on me.
Well, I just listened. I have to reference to the Bigfoot Outlaws show that I just also had Brenda on, and Bear raised her to the level of Queen of Bigfooting now. So I'm just following suit. As the dude, I officially promote you to Queen.
Thank you. That's something I don't know about, but thank you anyway.
It comes with no official duties or pay, so don't worry about it.
Oh, boy, at that level, I better do my job better or something.
Well, I'll tell you what, you keep putting together meetings like what you got coming up here that we'll be talking about shortly, and people are going to start throwing some money at you. But you've been doing this for a long time. How long have you been actually researching Bigfoot?
For a very long time, since, oh my gosh, it's going to be pretty close to 30-some years. When I first started, doing this, I've been really, really quiet. Actually, it should be over 30 years. I've been really quiet about it. I'll start from the very, very beginning here. When at a very young age, we used to have something coming around our place. We used to live in a mobile home out here in Farmington area. And one night we would hear, in the summertime, we would hear scratches right below our window. We would have our window open during the summertime, and we would hear long scratches, and all that would scare us. And we would hear like a growling sound. And I'm like, what is that? What is out there? We'd all get scared, my brothers and my sisters, and like we'd run to our mom and dad's room. Dad, there's something out there. It's scratching the side of the trailer. Oh, it's nothing. Just go to bed and all. You go and check, but it would be gone. And, we would experience stuff like that. I was probably about, maybe 9, 10 years old.
Wow.
And we would hear, it just seemed like continuously at night we would hear that. Dogs would be barking, and then all of a sudden we'd get like a really bad foul smell. I remember that, and
what would you compare the smell to? Everybody's got a little bit different take on it. What would you compare their stink to?
It smelled like wet dog with like dead animal smell. It was really bad smell. And we were just like, what is that smell? And then we would hear a growl, like I said. And, during that time, of course, we didn't know what that was. But and then as I got older, things like that would still eventually happen. But there was one night I remember we had gotten a little kitty, and we would let it out at night, but we'd bring it back in before we go to bed. Well, this particular night, this thing, whatever it was, it came back around, and it was like tapping on the window. Again, long scratches along the side of the mobile home, just below the window. And well, what is that sound? I mean, we get scared and do the same thing, run to our mom and dad's room, and we would tell them, hey, something's outside, something's out there, it's growling, and it's scratching the side of the trailer. But he'd go out, nothing. So the next day when we got up, and then we remembered, oh no, our little kitten, we forgot to bring it in. You better go get it. So we went, we couldn't find the cat. And we kept looking and looking, and when we found the cat, you remember the movie Legend of Boggy Creek, that cat, that, how they pictured that cat that was dead, they found dead, it was scared to death. That's exactly how we found our cat, but our cat was on the tree trunk, and its claws was like deep into the trunk of the tree, and it was like trying to hurry up and climb up the tree, but whatever was out there killed my cat, and it was just like clawed into the tree, and with its mouth and eyes wide open, and it was dead. I'm like, oh, we're like, what the heck happened? Something, terrified that cat, and it died. And, we come across stuff like that, and when I got older, into my teens, we would always go up to my grandma's place, and it was like a 3-hour drive. And at that time, my dad, we had a GMC truck, a short bed, and we had just bought in the camper. He bought a camper for it, and he made like a makeshift bed in the camper there. So we would, go to sleep. We would leave every weekend. We would get up about 3, 4 o'clock, and around that time, between 3 and 4, we would leave the house. Like I said, it takes about 3 hours. So we, Dad haul us up, get in the truck and go back to sleep, and we'll wake you up when we get there. So I'm like, okay. So we all crash in the truck and we take off. But I was kind of awake. And as we were driving, I remember we were passing the hospital in Farmington, the San Juan Regional. At that time, we passed the hospital, and my mom and dad, every morning, they would be listening to the Navajo Hour. And I just remember the lady would always talk about the San Juan River. And she would say, don't be going out there to the river at night. There's a monster out there. And that really caught my attention. And I asked my mom and dad. Of course, they didn't know I was listening. And I said, what is she talking about? There's a monster at the river. And my dad would always say, it's nothing, just go to sleep. I'm like, okay. So, they wouldn't tell me what it was. So, this kind of went on for quite some time. And then each time we would go, like I said, we would go visit my grandma. And we'd get up and go, and load up again. And again, they would be listening to the Navajo Hour. And again, she would talk about this. She'd don't be going down there. You stay away from down there. People have seen it. It's tall and hairy and black. And so I asked my dad, what is she talking about? It's at the river. It's nothing. Just go to sleep. I'm like, okay. So I just went to sleep. And then there was, again, we would go again. But this time, the lady, she was talking, and like I said, she would mention the San Juan River. But this time she said a different name. And she said, don't go down there, at the river. And this time she said a name that really stuck to me for the longest time. And the name that she said that the Sasquatch down at the river. Don't be going down there. And she was saying some stuff in Navajo, don't go down there. In Navajo is what she was saying too, And I'm like, what is this Sasquatch? And again, I would ask my parents, and they would say nothing. And then
and that's not a Navajo word, so that would be more confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it got kind of, like I said, got kind of confused on but this name, for some odd reason, just really stuck with me for a long time. And I'm like, what is that? And then when we were, after that, there was another time that when we were going, I don't quite remember where exactly this happened. I just remember we were on our way to my grandma's, and we were quite a ways out. I just remember my mom yelled out, my dad slammed on the brakes, and my mom said, yeah, what was that? And she's like, my dad, just slammed on the brakes, and we all kind of flew forward, and I heard him, popped up. I'm like, what was it? What happened? What was it? And she didn't say anything, I just remember she said, that thing ran across the road. She's talking to my dad. And she said, that thing ran across the road. Did you see that? It was on two legs, and it looked black, and it had hair all over it. And that was, was like, what, didn't know what to think of it.
Yeah, especially with that reaction. From what I understand, for non-Navajo speakers, when you say yee, that's like holy beep in your language, right?
Right, yeah. Like, yee, yeah. What is that, but that really scared her, and I hadn't seen my mom, and hear her in the way she said it, that was scary, okay, that brought attention to me at a young age, like, okay, she saw something, Mom and Dad saw something, Dad slams on the brake, and she yells that out, because I never heard Mom say something like that, and something that really scared her enough to yell that out, I'm like, okay, there's something there, what was it, when we asked, it was always, nothing, just go to sleep, but I could hear them, I would be listening to them talking among themselves, to each other about it.
Wow, that must have been really scary, though, to actually hear Mom, lucky you didn't see it, but I mean, it's like Mom just saw something and freaked out. Okay, this is serious now. What's going on?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt and what was going through my mind, and I'm like, oh, my God, what is out there? There's a monster out there in my mind. At a young age, you don't know what to think.
Mm-hmm.
But, as time goes on, and my teens, 15, I believe that was 15. Now, that happened back in the 70s, that incident there, all those times, Mom, Dad listening to the Navajo Hours, all of that happened back in the 70s. So when, in my teens, when I hit 15, I remember this movie, The Legend of Boggy Creek. It was the first time I had ever heard of the show, and they were showing it here in Farmington in the theaters. Well, I'm going to go see this. We got to go see it. And, as the movie was escalating, and at the very beginning of the movie, how the man, the guy he says the name Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered, sitting there as I was watching it, I remember that name. And then I brought back, I'm like, okay, that lady on the radio show said the exact same name, Sasquatch.
Oh. Yeah.
And I'm
But
sitting in
now,
the theater like, okay, what is a Sasquatch? And, you know, and as the
no.
movie goes along, and then I see this big, tall, black, hairy thing. I'm like, oh, my God, that's a Sasquatch. That's what's been the lady on the radio has been talking about all this time. That's at the river, you know. That's what I'm sitting there thinking that, wow. And yeah, and you know, I'm just like, holy cow, I can't believe that's really, you know, really here. And you know, I would hear things every now and then. Some of my relatives would be talking about stuff like that, but you know, I never said anything. I just kept real quiet about it. And then when I had graduated from school from way back, you know, then, and just listening, and then hearing people talk about it, it would get brought up every now and then. I'm like, wow, it is true. People are seeing something along these rivers here. You know, it's not just out in the big, thick mountains. I mean, I'm like, of all places in like on the reservation, people are seeing these, you know, creatures running around out there. You know, you would never think, and of all places, you know, it would show up here, you know, but it is, you know, and then I'm sure that's the way it is in, you know, all over the states and maybe even out of the states too as well.
Yeah.
But in '86, I got married and I moved on the reservation. You know, I always told myself I will never live on the reservation. You know, I'm going to stay, you know, on the stage. You know, I'm staying over here. You know, I don't want to live on the reservation. You know, and lo and behold, I ended up on the reservation. And I tell you what, it took me a while to get used to. And I love where I'm at right now. It's a good location. I love the open space. I can do whatever I want pretty much, versus being on state land. You're restricted on doing certain things, and so you just got to be really careful. But on the reservation, you know, I wouldn't trade for anything right now. I love where I'm at. But now this is where I had pretty much my face-to-face encounter with Bigfoot. Well, let me. I'm going to tell you something else before I get into that. There.
Okay.
In '86, like I said, I was married, and my husband and I, we had just bought us a small mobile home, and you know, I was trying to get used to being out there alone, you know, and I'm like, it's kind of scary at night out there, you know. So I asked my brothers in '86 during that summertime. I asked my brothers, can you come stay out here, stay the night with me out here? I really don't want to be out here by myself. I said, my husband, he was working a graveyard shift at that time, and I just didn't want to be home alone. So I'm like, okay, and it'd be fun, you know. So my two brothers, my oldest brothers came, and they came and stayed the night, and we were watching movies and stuff, and then I said, I'm going to go to bed, I'm tired, and it was probably about, I'm going to say about 11 maybe when I finally went to bed, but they were still up watching TV, they were watching movies. And it was during the summertime, and I had the living room window was open, and some of the windows in the kitchen were open as well. Well, I went to bed, and my brothers were watching TV. Now, I'm not sure, I don't remember, about what time this had happened, what they had heard. What they had heard, I know a lot of people won't believe what I'm going to say, but that's okay. But the next morning, I got up, and my brothers were so scared. You know, they were like, "We want to go home," you know. And I'm like, "What happened? What's going on?" You know. He goes, "What is out here?" You know, and I said, "What are you talking about? What did you guys hear?" He goes, "They're both looking at me." Because we heard some sheep outside, just by the window. Now, just imagine there's a small mobile home, and right beside the mobile home, we have like a ditch where the water, you know, runs through, and then an irrigation ditch, and then just right next to that, there's a field. And well, at that time, next door, my husband's grandpa had sheep. and they would be, out. I guess he must have left them out late at night or something. I don't know, or they just didn't go in the corral or whatever. But what my brothers had heard was they heard some sheep by the window, and you could hear them, making their sounds, like crying at night and whatever. He goes, we heard two sheep right underneath the window. And he showed me where. He goes, these two sheep, yeah, they were doing their back call, and all of a sudden he goes, they were talking. I'm like, what? He goes, no. I said, no, you guys are just hearing things. No, they were talking to each other. I'm like, what? I said, well, what did they say? He goes, I don't know what they were saying, but they were talking. I mean, just like how I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, my God, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, and they're like, take us home. We want to go home. That really scared them, and I'm like, okay, was that talking sheep out here, And that's it. That really scared them. And I'm like, well, what were they saying? Because they were mumbling something. I mean, they were talking because they weren't like bad, crying like that. They were talking like I'm talking to you. That's all they kept saying. And because they talked for a long time. I don't know what they were saying, and then we could hear them walking around. And he goes, we just barely, didn't even sleep because he was just right there. And he goes, that really scared us. And he goes, can you take us home? So I ended up taking them home, and goes, we don't want to ever come back out here and spend the night. And I'm like, oh, man. So, I thought that was kind of funny, but that, whatever that was, he goes, I said, well, maybe it was something else. Maybe it was some people just walking by. He goes, no, Brenda. He goes, those were two sheep. I know those were two sheep. They were doing their cry. Then all of a sudden they just started talking to each other. I'm like, oh, wow. And I told my husband when he got back from work, and he's like, no, they got to be hearing something else. And so, that was pretty much the end of them coming over, spending the night. I would ask her, now, can you come over? I don't want to stay out there. It's kind of scary, and I would say, no, after hearing that and seeing the sheep by the window, no, that's okay. That was the end of that for a while. Well, that had happened, and then, I knew there was something that would come late at night. I could hear something moving around outside or around the house there on the mobile home, but I would just sleep it off, and about, let's see, 91, 92, somewhere in that, 91 or 92, I was home with my two youngest kids. I had a son and daughter at that time, very young, I believe 5 and I think about 6, 7 years, about 6, 7, something like that. Anyway, 5 and 6, I believe, at that age, and we had their cousins that came over, and they wanted to spend the night too. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of had a house full of kids, and my husband had just left for work about 10:30. So he's working the graveyard shift, and this was during the summertime. We had moved into a little bit bigger mobile home, and had all the windows open. It was so hot in there, and we had rocks, as you're in the entrance, walking up to the porch. Some porches, they, after having them for a while, they start to squeak and do the weathering and all, So when someone walks on the gravel, you can hear footsteps or, the movement of the gravel, you can hear something.
Yeah, the grinding gravel sound.
Yeah. And then when you get onto the porch, it has that squeaky sound. Well, all the kids they were all kind of talking. We were all laughing and stuff, and they were by the couch, and some were behind me, and my brother was in front of me by the couch there in the living room. And all of a sudden, I could hear the dog just instantly started really whimpering, and they were really crying. And I thought, oh, well, what's something, not right? Is why the dog crying? They sound like they were really scared. All of a sudden, I could hear heavy footsteps on the gravel, and the kids were all laughing. And I remember telling the kids, I said, "Hey guys, be quiet. There's something out there. Be real quiet." And we could hear it. I could hear it, and it starts walking onto the porch. And like I said, you could hear something heavy, and it was walking on the porch. And I looked at my brother. Matter of fact, I had my brother there. Well, my second youngest brother, he spent the night there that night, and he was standing kind of a little bit close to the front door. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, there's something out there." And he just like frozen, scared, and he just stood there. We were just listening. And like I told the kids, I said, "Be real quiet. Something is out there." So pretty soon we had a screen door. So the screen door, we heard that opening. That was squeaking too. So that opened.
Oh my God!
And then all of a sudden, my brother and the kids were all behind me. And I told my brother, it's at the door. It's something's there. And just a few seconds later, we see the doorknob starts turning. I'm like, oh my God, something's trying to get in. I'm standing, something's trying to get in. I told my brother, I said, we got to open it. We got to see who it is. Maybe our neighbor's just trying to scare us. And I told my brother, I said, just open the door real fast. And he couldn't even move. I mean, he was like so frozen, scared. He just couldn't move. So I went to the front door. Doorknob was turning, and I had the deadlock on, so I hurried. As soon as I unlatched the deadlock, quick, I could let go of the doorknob. I swung the door open, and there's this thing standing there. It was tall, black. It had hair from the head all the way down to the legs and foot. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? I'm standing there looking at it, and it hurries and takes off to the porch, runs around the house. And at the same time, the dogs are underneath the porch, and they're really, whimpering. They were scared. And I looked at my brother, and I don't know if he remembers, if he actually saw it himself. And I looked at him and said, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And then he's just like, he was scared. He was so frozen scared. And I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I mean, I opened the door, and boom, there it is standing.
You're looking at the creature of Boggy Creek is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
You're going, wait a minute, I saw this before. Uh-oh, it's real.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this thing's standing there, and I hear a lot of people say some, are very muscular, some are kind of really skinny, and this one that I was looking at, this one that was standing right there in front of me, it wasn't very bulky. It was slim, had long arms, and it just started off. I mean, I hadn't, never seen anything move as fast as this thing did, and it was gone. And I just didn't know what to say. And the kids, they spoke. What was it? And I just looked at nothing. No, it's nothing. Just I'll go to sleep. And I shut down everything, and closed up, the doors and locked it all up. I said, so I'll go to bed. Within about 15 minutes later, this thing came back, and it was going on throughout the whole night. This thing, what it wanted, I don't know. Why was it trying to get into the house? When I go back and think about it, this thing could have easily just tore the door down and came in, but it didn't. Why? Maybe was it just trying to scare us? I don't know. What did it want? That always goes through my mind, even today still. What was it trying to do? What did it want? I do. I think about it quite a bit. Like, why did it do what it did? What was it after? What was
Yeah.
it wanting? You know,
Was
I
it
don't
just
know.
that
I don't
one
have an
one
answer to
time?
that.
Was it just there
Yeah,
that one time? Or?
Yeah, you know, that one time there, you know, like I said, that escalated throughout the whole night. I'd get up and flick on the light, and I could hear it take off. About 15 minutes later, it would come back again. And then on the fourth time that it came back, we have the master bedroom had a big old window, and I could see people, you know, that walk up onto the porch. So I got up and I was looking out the window, and it was standing on the porch. I wanted to get it, you know, a look again to make sure to see I'm seeing what I am actually seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, when I shared this with some people, oh, it's a skinwalker, and I'm like, no, this is not a skinwalker, not what I seen. And same thing, you know, I got a good look at it, except for the face. Now the face, I didn't get to see like the features of the face because it was covered in hair.
Mm-hmm.
It had the hair. I could just see the eyes, but the hair, I mean, it was just covered in hair. And then it took off at about 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, I was like, okay, I'm getting tired of this thing. So I told my brother, I said, I'm going to go drive around and see where this thing is and chase it off or whatever. And so I locked them all into the house. I had somebody older there, and my brother came with me. We locked everybody in the house, turned the lights on and all. We took off into the truck. We got in the truck. We drove around down in the field. Now the dogs, man, they were still underneath the porch, and I could still hear them whimpering. And then we take off in the truck. Once we got into the truck, drove down to the inn, headed north. At the end of the field, we took a left turn to start heading to the west. We have a big old field in there, and I noticed I'm seeing one of the dogs finally came out. They started following us. Had I been paying attention to the dog, that would have told me exactly where this thing was hiding. Well, when we were heading to the west, at the corner northwest of the field there, in that corner there's a lot of thick brushes there. I just remember the dog stops instantly and starts crying and runs back to the house. We take a turn to the west in that corner there, and I headed back south. Well, I had just passed where this thing was sitting in the bushes. And, you know, like I said, if I had just paid attention to the dog, that could have told me exactly where this thing was. Well, I had just passed it, and we started heading back south towards the house, drove around the plot, and then we just went back, you know, back to the house, and I just shut down everything and went to sleep. And like I said, this thing came back again. It went off for a couple more hours. Finally, daybreak, light starts breaking about 6 o'clock in the morning. And that night, I didn't sleep at all. I waited until my husband got back, and he finally pulls up about 6 o'clock. Like I said, just when it starts getting light, it just stopped. This thing just left. It was gone. So my husband finally gets home about 7 o'clock in the morning, and as soon as he walks in the door, he sees that I'm awake, and so I start telling him what was going on and what had happened. And he kind of, you know, he didn't believe me at first. He said, well, maybe it's a skinwalker. I'm like, no, this is not a skinwalker. You know, I'm telling you, you know.
I'm sorry for laughing, dear, but only on the res would you get that response. It would be like, no, you saw a bear. On the res, it's like, no, you saw a skinwalker.
Yeah, that's true, though, you know, and that's the first thing people would say. I'm like, no, this is not. I'm telling you. I said, well, let's go walk around the house and see if we can find any kind of footprint. So we did. You know, we walked around the house, and I come across a footprint. And I looked at him. I said, look at that. And the footprint, you know, do you remember the part in that movie, Legend of Bucket Creek, where the two young guys were down, like, fishing, and the young guy finds a footprint?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if you remember that part. the picture of that footprint, that's the exact same footprint that we found behind our home. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when I saw that, and then memories, that movie, that's a Bigfoot. I said, look at that footprint. My husband, he didn't know what to think. He was very surprised. He just didn't know, couldn't believe it, really.
You wouldn't want to believe it. I'd be really shook up if I was him, thinking my poor wife is alone at home by herself and there's some kind of monster running around the place.
Yeah, and so that was my actual first, pretty much face-to-face encounter with one, and that was the beginning of it all. And that's when I started really looking into doing, more research and stuff like that. Like I said, I kept the research part to myself, and and then more things that were escalating, in the area that where we live. People are seeing it and hearing it, but they would never talk about it. They would never say anything about it, and it's only because they didn't want to be made fun of or laughed at, which I understood why people don't want to talk about it. Among the Navajo people, you don't talk about stuff, any kind of cryptid stuff like that. You just be quiet about it, keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
It's like a bad omen. You talk about it. Some natives believe that if you look at it, you can die within 7 years. It's.
Woo! I beat the odds 3 times. Woohoo!
That's right. And I'm like, wow. It is. It's kind of interesting how a lot of the natives believe. How they believe in it.
Right.
So I just listen to it, listen to what they have to say and stuff. But there's so much that the Native people have gone through and have experienced. Some want to share, some but they're too scared to, because it just boils down to they don't want to be made fun of.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that so much as a non-Native person that's interested in Bigfoot. It is so great to see some of the natives finally coming forward and talking about this. And, because they finally got an audience that isn't going to just give them a hard time and ridicule them. There's people actually have an open mind and will listen to it. And, it's one of the things I've always said. It was the same thing when we went over to Africa. The white man showed up over there, and the natives went, hey, Bwana, we got these big hairy buggers running around the woods here. And we went, ha, 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 yeah, right. Local superstition. You guys are hilarious. Very funny. But it was a gorilla. And so then they bagged a gorilla, and they brought one back, and everybody went, oh, well, maybe, they just got lucky. And the same attitude is like all over the world. You find the local natives, you ask them what's going on around there, they tell you something that doesn't agree with your presuppositions on what's actually in the world, and you go, oh, that's just superstition. That's just a native superstition. They're just making that up. Well, every native tribe in North America has stories about Bigfoot. They all have names for it. So it's like obvious there's something real going on there. And if we want to know something about it, shouldn't we be listening to the people that have been living here for thousands of years, dealing with them? They probably know a lot more than Joe average researcher wandering around the woods, 2 hours every weekend is ever going to find out in 20 lifetimes. So you guys are my go-to people first. The native people. If I want to know something about Bigfoot in an area, I go talk to you guys. And as far as the not sharing it thing goes, that's not entirely a thing just within the native tribes, because there's areas up here where I've run into enough locals and got within their graces enough for them to actually talk to me about this. And it's like pretty much all the people in the area know Bigfoot is real. Most of them have had sightings or encounters. They just don't talk about it.
Right. It's true. It's really, really true. But today, now, I'm really glad that the people, the natives, a lot of them are starting to finally speak up.
Thank God.
The things that I've been sharing with the people, and just trying to, give them some kind of warning, or just getting the word out there of be aware of your surroundings out there. So many people out there, so many researchers out there, make these things to be really, really good, and, they're not bad, but we don't know that really because they can turn on you. I mean, so quick. Yeah, they can make you think that they're really nice and all, and then all of a sudden they turn on you. Then what? Then what are you going to do? What did you do? You know, what happened? This thing was, I was trying to be nice to it and all, and all of a sudden it just turned. We just have to look at the other side of it. There is another side of Bigfoot that people don't want to talk about, and that's the part that I try to bring out, whether people like it or not. It's just for your safety, really. Just be very, very careful out there, out in the woods, out at home, anywhere, where these things could be at,
You're definitely on the right show to be delivering that message, Brenda, because I tend to hammer that one a lot. That, look, if you think these things are humans, if you think they're relic hominids, if you think they're some type of ape, in any of these three conditions, you are looking at something that is intelligent and unpredictable. You cannot guarantee what it's going to do next, and you definitely cannot guarantee that it's not going to get violent and aggressive and attack you. I personally know people that have been attacked by Bigfoot. One is so lucky that they survived it. They were actually picked up and slammed into the ground by one, and they spent a lot of months in the hospital as a result. So, anybody that tells me that all Bigfoot are friendly and never hurt anybody, I know they're full of shit, and they don't know what they're talking about. You can assume that all day long until you run into one that's having a bad day and you're never seen again.
That's right. That's so true. We have to be careful with it. I mean, like I said, there is another side of them, whether people want to believe it or not. They're making these things out to be something really special and stuff. Yeah, it's cool. People say, I got to see one that was really neat. But good for you. I'm happy for you. But there's that other side that we all still don't know about. What makes them become aggressive? What makes them? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? I don't know. They don't like us being in their area. They don't want us there. That could be a good reason. But there's just something.
I don't think they trust us at all. I think they observe us enough that they realize they shouldn't trust us. And if you look at their behavior, and I mean across the board, everywhere, with every tribe, with the non-natives, with everything, it makes me think that they really don't want contact with us. They're trying to avoid us. So probably the best we can expect from them is indifference. They might put up with us temporarily. That's about the best we can expect. They don't want to be your friend. They don't want to know you. If you go and feed them, they'll take your food and they'll think it's tribute. Oh, you're finally admitting that you're lower on the pecking order than I am and giving me tribute. Good, give me more.
That's so true.
That's the way I look at it. And that's why, people come in with this happy, slappy attitude. Well, it's, I can habituate it like a deer or something. Yeah, well, or like a bear. Might be a closer way to look at it. And, no, it's habituating you to feed it. Give me free handouts, and I have to do, less work. Okay, that's cool. Hey, where's the free handouts? Why aren't I getting one today? Now I'm crabby. Now I'm going to go make a ruckus and let you know that I'm not happy that you didn't feed me today. Now, what if the person leaves the area or something or dies? Oh, now there's a crabby Bigfoot that's not getting fed, and he's going to take it out on any human that's around him. So, for people that say, well, I've been habituating them, I've got some that are my friends, you can habituate a bear, too. Does that mean he's your friend?
No. We just, people just, hope they really wake up and just kind of please just look at the other side. Be really, really careful. And that's my whole message about doing this whole research and stuff. And, yes, I put the videos out there of what's going on, what people have experienced. I mean, there's so much more than to those videos. It's just be careful out there.
Yeah.
We just don't know. We don't have enough information of what they really, really want. What do they want? Why are they here? Be careful. That's my whole message is be careful out there. I'm not out here to make money. Bigfoot is not. You could have all the money in the world. You could be rich and famous. I don't care who you are. If you have money, if you have big-time sponsors, what are those sponsors going to do for you when you get hurt out there? Are they going to be standing there right there when you're getting attacked for no odd reason?
Yeah.
Is the money going to save you? Is your fame, is your name going to save you? No, it's not.
Bigfoot doesn't know who you are or that you're a Bigfoot researcher, nor does he care.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. So my message to all you people out there, though I don't have no disrespect, at all for anybody, that's doing the research, that's fine, but be careful how you come about it. Don't brag about all the equipment that you use. I don't care what kind of equipment you use. I'm using just the small stuff, and I don't brag about that stuff. If you have all the money in the world, you should have a good, clear picture, period. None of this blurry stuff. And sometimes, I hear a lot of the research, I got this, I got that. I'm like, well, post it. Show it then.
Yeah.
And they won't do it. Okay, well, something's up with that, a lot of these researchers, people, groups out there, they're doing, my opinion, they're doing a dang good job. They really are.
Yeah.
And my message to them, and it will always be this, is be careful. It boils down to just be careful out there. Watch your group, watch your guys. Don't go in it with an attitude as you're a badass researcher. No, there is no such thing as a number one Bigfoot researcher, period. I don't even call myself a number one Bigfoot researcher at all.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just little old me just trying to get the word out. Just want people to be careful out there. And,
well, anybody that thinks that they're the number one Bigfoot researcher is liable to end up as the number two of Bigfoot at some point. So they should be really careful about that attitude. I said it on the Bigfoot Outlaws, and I'm sure you probably agree with this, Brenda, that anybody that goes around portraying themselves as a quote-unquote expert on Bigfoot is by virtue of the fact they just made that statement completely full of crap. And that's why people like me and Bear have respect for people like you and Caveman, because you don't go running around claiming you're the ultimate experts on Bigfoot. And you guys know a hell of a lot more than most of the people out there that do run around claiming that they're experts on Bigfoot. So there's my little piece on that whole topic there.
Yeah, that's good. Like I said, I just really care about the people. I don't want to hear them getting hurt and stuff. And I do hear, people that have gotten hurt. From a Bigfoot, and it's sad what has happened, but just be careful. Be so very careful out there, out in the field, and share with what you can, and I'm glad that people, like I said, are sharing their experiences and stuff. Because it was kept quiet for a very long time in our area, not only in our area, but throughout the whole reservation. And now there's so many sightings all over the reservation. I get reports of it killing cattle, their sheep being taken, stuff like that. And there's so much going on, not just in our area, but out in the Arizona area as well.
I wonder if it's actually ramped up at all, or if it's just the fact that now that there's folks down there like you and Caveman that have visibility, there's somebody they can get a hold of. When something like this weird happens, they know you guys are there and went, hey, I need to call Brenda. She would know what the hell is going on here. This is freaking me out.
Well, yeah, I get lots of calls. I get a lot of messages through Facebook, through texting, or through my email. I've even gotten some emails out of state in France. I get, all over the place. I get messages. What do I do? What do I need to do? Why is it doing this? Why is it? So I, try to explain some things to them and have them do some things that'll help. And it has helped a whole lot of people.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about you. You're out there to help people, and I do that too. And one of the things that surprises me a lot, and I bet you experienced this too, Brenda, is everybody's got this sort of pie in the sky notion of having a Bigfoot sighting and stuff. And a lot of the people that contact me, they've got them around where they live. and they're interested in how to make them go away. They don't want to have anything to do with these things. They don't want a sighting. They're trying to figure out how to make Bigfoot go away and leave them alone. So, you know, wishing that Bigfoot around isn't necessarily a good thing, guys.
Mhm. It is. You know, I get a lot of calls like that too. You know, and I share with them, and I'll share it with you guys, with you all about some of the things that you can do that has helped a lot of people around here. That they're doing, and some of the things they're like, oh wow, I never thought of that. You know, and I get a lot of you know, huge responses. You know, thank you for sharing this and that. It really worked.
Mhm. Hey, and sometimes those people will contact you and they'll have ideas because they came up with them before they bothered to contact you. That like halfway work, and they'll give you good ideas you could use for later on too. And that's part of the beauty of just sharing information in general, whether it's just between researchers or between researchers and experiencers and whatnot. So much of what we got information-wise is anecdotal. The more we share encounters and stuff with each other, the more we can start seeing patterns and putting together a picture of what it is that we're dealing with.
Right. That's so true. You know, there's so much that we can learn, you know, from each other.
Thing here, is there like anything currently going on that you want to bring up with it? Let everybody know about, and then of course there's the event that you've got going on that I want you to touch on here too.
Okay, sure, I will do that. Let's start off with the sightings here. There's just a gentleman that he had, as a matter of fact, he called me. It was last. I'm going to go a little bit back on this one. Back in December, he had contacted me. He had seen my teammate. I was with my teammate one night. It was on a weekend, and we were checking out an area in the hotback area where there was a sighting, and it left a pretty big foot impression. Well, we were down in that area, and it was probably about, must have been about 11 o'clock. We were there checking out that area. Around midnight, my phone starts going off, and I'm like, oh, okay, someone's trying to get in contact with me. What's this? You know, so I check my phone, and it was a gentleman. And, you know, he's like, hey, I got Bigfoot over here. He's at my house, and because we're actually looking at a juvenile. It's a really young one. It's a really small one. And it's just standing by the tree. And so we left that area, and we took off to the gentleman's place, and he was, you know, took us to the back and showed us where it was standing. He said that he, you know, started informing us of what's been going on in that area. And in this area, there's a lot of like mobile homes. And you wouldn't think really, but okay, so we get to the place where the gentleman was showing us where this young one was standing by the tree, and then he started telling us more about what they've been experiencing, what they've been hearing, and they've been hearing something like slap the side of the home, tapping on the window. They could hear it howling late at night.
Oh, God.
And they said that they were just, he had gone off when they were outside at night, and they were just having a cigarette, him and his wife, and then, boom, there's this thing that was walking. They noticed something, you know, a dark figure, a small dark figure walking, and it was standing between the trees. And they just, you know, were sitting there, you know, watching it. And then that's when the Harriet contacted me. And they said that they believe that they've been trying to get to a fruit tree.
Huh.
And when the husband must have made a sound or something, and the thing heard it, and it took off running.
Do they have any guesstimate about how tall it was?
It was probably about maybe between 3 and 4 feet tall. You know, it was a pretty small one, they said.
Yeah, really little squatchlet. Surprising there wasn't an adult right there if it was that small.
The adult one was there, but it was behind it, further to the back.
Okay.
And so when they heard it taken off, they could hear another one taken off as well too. So
Okay.
we had set up. We went back. Let's see, no, that was back in December, and then earlier this year, again, they've been hearing it. So we've been keeping contact with each other. We've been setting up cameras in this area to see, what we can hear. And then just recently, this gentleman, he said there was, when was it? Let me think here. It was about let's just see what, August now. I believe it was in May. This happened this May, about, 3 months ago. They heard this thing yell. And it was about 1 in the morning, I believe. I'll have to go back and check my notes. Sorry about that. But they said this thing yelled, and it yelled so loud. They've never heard anything yell like this before. And they said it was like just like a terrifying yell. And when they jumped and looked out the door, ran to the door, looked out, everybody that lived in that neighborhood there, everybody's porch lights flickered on
at the same time. Do you think he did he give him the T-Rex roar, or what do you think?
I think so. He said it was so scared. I mean, that yell, it was so terrifying that, I would have to say yes, that kind of a sound.
Yeah, that really loud. It's going to go right through the walls. Everybody's going to hear it for a mile. Yeah.
Yes, that's the kind of yell that they heard. And, they're living just right there, and it happened just right there.
God.
They said, wow. And everybody's lights went on. People shining their flashlights out in the field behind their houses. They're all like, what the hell was that sound?
And it's not something normal that you're used to hearing. You're going, what the hell is out here now?
Yeah. And, because of that, and finally a couple of his neighbors that live, maybe a couple of trailers down from them, they're like, wow, did you hear that? What the hell was that? And
yeah.
The guy already knew what it was. He goes, that was a Bigfoot. And the other guy's like, whatever the hell that was. He goes, we're moving out. So 2 families that I'm aware of that live in that area, they were moving out. He goes, that is way too close. Whatever the hell that thing is, we're out of here.
Oh my God, those poor people.
There's the two. I think maybe even a total of maybe even 3 families that have moved out of that area, that they were, so scared of that, that, they've never heard anything like that before. And so that's a good one
right there, Brenda. That's a mass sighting. You got a whole bunch of families that all have the same thing happen at the same time at the same place.
That's right. That's so true, and they, they've been hearing it for a long time. This particular gentleman that I've been working with in that area, he's informed me of a lot of what's been going on, what they've been hearing for the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, he goes, this just drew the line for some of the people that live there now, because they're so scared. They've never heard anything like that before. And they don't know what to really make of it, So, hold on. Just
one thing to have an isolated incident, like, I saw something messing around in my dumpster, and it didn't look like a bear, and what the heck was that? But you can't letting out a T-Rex roar, and everybody in the neighborhood hears it at the same time, and they're all going, what the hell is that? Oh, my God, those poor people. I'd be so scared.
Yeah, I would be, too. It'd be like, holy crap, what the heck, I mean, that is the kind of yelling, screaming, whatever, that kind of yell it was. That's the kind of recording that I would love to get.
Yeah.
That kind of recording. I mean, we've got some recording that's pretty good, but the recording that I wanted to get is that kind, what they heard, what the people heard that night. Mm-hmm. It scared them enough to, they're moving out of there. That says a whole lot, you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
And,
one vocalization, and it's like time to pack up and move. Folks, that's got to be pretty scary to get you to move.
That's the truth, you know. But, you know, like I said, this gentleman, I've been working with him for quite some time now, and I put a video out with him just recently. What he ended up doing is we had a rainstorm several months ago, and it left some pretty good amount of rain, you know, puddles of water around his place. And what he did was, I'm sorry, yeah. And well, what he did was he took a bottle of bleach, and he just wanted to try it to see if it would work. So what he ended up doing was he found a big old puddle of water in his driveway there, and he took the bottle of bleach, poured that bleach in that puddle of water. And what he was hoping that, what he was trying to accomplish is that if Bigfoot will come, when he comes, he'll step right into that puddle of water full of bleach and take steps on the weeds, and it'll leave a track. He just wanted to try it and see if it would work. So he did it on a late Tuesday night and into Wednesday, and then like during that week that we had some really good, like I said, good rainfall. And Saturday morning comes, finally things started kind of drying out. Saturday morning rolls around, I get a call about 9 o'clock in the morning. Brenda, you know, that thing, it came back and it left a huge footprint. Because I'm going to tell you what I did. So then he started explaining to me, because my wife, she found the footprint. She was getting into her ride this morning, heading to work, and she just happened to look down, and there's this big old footprint right next to the bedroom window, pretty close to the bedroom window, like it was getting ready to look into the bedroom window there.
Oh, God.
So he sends me the picture. I'm like, oh, wow. And it worked. And you know, there's weeds right there, like grassy weeds, right near his mobile home, right next to the window. And when he stepped into that puddle of bleach, it stepped onto the weeds. It had enough to kill those weeds there, and it left a nice foot impression. And
you got to send me that picture so we can. Yeah, you got to send me that picture so we can include it along with the conversation here so people can take a look at that. Because I remember seeing that and thinking that was such a great and devious idea. And this is a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier, Brenda. I'm not even a researcher, but anybody can have a good idea. And now because he contacted you, other people have found out about it and went, bleach in the mud puddle, eh?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it did. You know, I was surprised, you know, when, I never would have thought of that either. He goes, I just wanted to try it. And I'm like, wow. And I looked at him and I said, hey, that's a really good idea. That worked. It really did.
I don't know if you ever heard the story. It was quite a few years ago back, I believe it was in Kentucky. There was a lady that claimed that they were all around the property. She grew up out in the middle of nowhere. And there was a troop of them there, and she even knew the names of them, a bunch of them, and had been watching them like do things from the time she was a little girl. She'd just climb up a tree and sit there and watch them all day. And she was claiming that they were coming like even into her house and stealing food. So Igor Burtsev, Russian Bigfoot researcher, was down there. And they got this devious idea that if they sort of left the door so that it could get in and go steal food, that maybe they could get some evidence of it, and they sprinkled flour on the floor. And guess what they found the next morning? Same sort of idea. There's these huge honking tracks in the kitchen, and something came in here and stepped on this floury floor and left some nice, good, obvious prints. So, again, it's like, think devious, man. Think of something Bigfoot wouldn't think of.
Yeah, really, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bigfoot wouldn't think of that. Like, they're thinking they're worried about leaving an impression in the ground, not leaving a track on some flour on the floor that they can't see in the dark anyway.
That's true.
Well, anyway, before we get going here, and I'm going to have to cut her off here at some point because we got more good stuff coming up, and I definitely want to have Brenda back for a longer talk when we have more time to just spend with her, going over more of the stuff that she's done and whatnot. And before we go any further, I want to make a plug for her, and that is if you're on Facebook and you're interested in Bigfoot, you need to go and join up at her group, New Mexico Shadow Seekers, which is totally awesome group. I'm a member. I love it, and I always can keep up to date with what's going on down in her neck of the woods just by being a member of that group and keeping up to date on it. And now I'd like to have you actually tell us about this really cool conference that you've got going on down there shortly.
Yes, we're going to have a conference, a Bigfoot and Paranormal Conference here in New Mexico, and it's going to be in the Upper Fruitland area. It's on the reservation. So we're about 12, 13 miles from Farmington, New Mexico. And the location of the conference, I'm actually hosting this conference. It's going to be on our property. You'll actually get to see where Bigfoot, I'll be showing some of the people where Bigfoot has been coming through our property and stuff. So I'll be showing them some other little things too as well. But I'll have a guest, Jim, he goes by Bear King. He'll be speaking at the conference, Bigfoot Outlaws, along with Kurt Mauser, and I know I'm missing somebody else, Mr.
Mark Newell. Yeah.
And that's right. And then also you will have Dale Boswell. He will be doing some entertainment at the conference too as well. And I also asked him if he could share a little bit of some of his experience too as well. So he'll be there to speak of some of his experience with researching Bigfoot and maybe some other paranormal things too as well. Do a lot of things, during the day, and we're going to have to end the conference. I'm doing also a big old campfire where a lot of people will get to share their own experience. This will be our fifth year of having the Bigfoot and Paranormal Conference out here in New Mexico. So I'm sure people that would like to come and meet Jim and some of the Bigfoot Outlaws, you're more than welcome to come. It's a free event. Hope to see all of you people around the area or people out of the States to try and come. It's going to be we're going to have a really good time. So you'll get all the firebread you all want to as well.
Well, I'm super psyched for it. Like I was telling you earlier, this is I like rarely get interested in any of these conferences or anything like that. And I saw the lineup on this one, and I went, "Oh my God, why does it have to be so far away from me? I want to go to this one really bad." And it's even like a far piece away from where the Outlaws are headquartered down there in the far eastern south. And yeah, they're Bear's going to be doing some autographed pictures, so you can get an autographed picture from Bear, and he encourages that because they're not getting paid anything, and they need to cover the cost of expenses to actually get there. And they're claiming that they're driving, but I think they've actually got a wagon train going and that they're riding their horses there. And that's why it's taking them weeks to get there, and they're doing all this preparatory stuff. They're on their way right now, and it costs a lot to feed horses and keep fixing those wagons. So he could use any help from anybody that wants to show up and say hi, shake his hand, and buy a picture from him. And of course, Brenda is the person responsible for setting all this stuff up, and she's kind enough to actually have this on her property. And if you folks just listen to the latest Bigfoot Outlaws broadcast, they also had an interview with Brenda, and she was talking about some really weird paranormal stuff that's been going on there. So not only the opportunity for possible Bigfoot stuff going on, but possible weird paranormal spooky ghost stuff too. So man, I totally encourage you guys, anybody that's in the area, and even if you're not in the area and you can get there, and if you're in jail, break out, whatever it takes, get down there. Get down there and go see this, because this is like a once in a lifetime event. Bear doesn't speak at conferences and stuff. The only reason he's doing this is because he has a lot of respect for Brenda and what she's doing, and wants to be part of what she's doing down there in that part of the country. So I encourage everybody, definitely go to this. It's going to be totally awesome. Don't miss it. I'm done jabbering. Anything else you want to say, Brenda?
Oh, that pretty much sums it up. But like you said, we got not only just Bigfoot. I got some paranormal stuff going on. Just on our property alone. In that there's so much other things going on different other people's property as well. So we don't have just Bigfoot out here. We've got quite a few other things out there running around, and some things you'd be surprised, like, wow, didn't know all this was out here. So we're right dead in the spot middle of this thing.
Right.
So,
and this isn't like some of these other gatherings where you're at like a big auditorium or something and the end of the lecture comes and you go back to your hotel room or whatever. You're actually hanging out with these people around the campfire right where this stuff is going on, and it may be happening while you're there. So, man, like I said, again, awesome opportunity for anybody that's interested in this. They should definitely go there.
Yes. Hope I'll see you there, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, you're so very welcome. I'm sorry I didn't get you on sooner, Brenda, as much as we've been Facebook friends for a while now, and, you know, things pile up, and I've been wanting to get you on sooner than this. But we're going to definitely have you back in the future if you're willing to come back again. I'd love to have you on the show again.
Sure,
all right.
I'd love to share as much as, you know, a lot more stuff going on other than Bigfoot, so.
And here at World Bigfoot Radio, we do think there's a connection between Bigfoot and some of this other weird stuff and these other cryptids that are running around out there. And we're more than willing to be open-minded and explore the possibility and try and gather up information on it. So until we have one until Wes has one in his garage that he's studying, and we're all still guessing what's going on with them, that's just what we're going to have to do. Have an open-minded, be reasonable, listen to what other people have to say, and, you know, do your own research on it. Everybody should be looking at this stuff on their own and not just taking people's word for it. Go do your own research.
That's right. That's so true.
So, all right. Well, thanks again for coming on the show, Brenda. It was just totally awesome having you on here, and I'm just super stoked that we managed to pull it off and that you were so kind and gracious as to come on my little piddly show and spend a few minutes telling us about all your Bigfoot background. And, again, really looking forward to having you on at some point in the future. So thanks a lot, and really appreciate it, dear.
You're welcome. Thank you. Just let me know when. I'm ready.
Okay. We certainly will. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back for another one here in another week or possibly less. And in the meantime, be kind to everyone. Don't get in any trouble, and do not hug the Wookiee. Take care, everybody. Bye.